Up everyone. All right, we'll kick it off with the DXY for today's outlook, seeing as I'm on it right now. Okay. Looking at DXY on the high time frame, sells still makes sense longer term. We have just induced this point, which is a really, really good amount of liquidity that's just been taken. Obviously, last night since FOMC, we have had a big sell-off. So look, it's in a spot where it's due for a retracement. Of course, we need to be mindful of the momentum, and we can't just expect price to retrace straight away. We need to have it start showing us signs that it's going to be retracing. It has had a very small 15-minute break to the upside, even kind of like a 5-minute break. It's very, very minimal. Holds kind of next to no significance in the market. So we just need to see what the market's going to do off the back of that just yet. But it can very well be the first internal break of the potential start to the complex pullback. I do believe it needs to come up to this point here, potentially mitigate that area, even this area up here, with that being our inducement that led to the break. That's really, really nice. So it does make sense to give that retracement, which obviously is going to help the EU and GU sell. But right now, we just need to see what it's going to do. So I'm just going to put my alert there as I want to see what it's going to do after this little inducement here. Moving across to EU. Okay, all right. EU higher time frame is in the 2 hour point of that extreme bearish leg. So we've been waiting for it to get up for ages, really since we, obviously mitigated this point. We've been expecting it to potentially come all the way up here, and we're finally there. So that's great. Now it's just a matter of what are we going to do with it now that it is up there. The market needs to show us where it's going to go. Obviously, as we've just seen in the DXY being bearish last night, Euro was very, very bullish coming up into this point, which doesn't help. We did sweep heaps of liquidity up here. We mitigated the 4 hour extreme point down here. So I am treating this as a new external bearish, bullish leg. The problem is the momentum and the little structure that we have. Given the momentum into this point, quite honestly, I'm not going to be surprised if we just push through it. It's had a really good inducement into it, but yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if we drive through it. However, it is a very valid point, and it does make a lot of sense for it to give a reasonable sell-off. So I'm actually happy to look for sells today, even though we haven't got a lot of structure to work with. So what I'm looking for sells, we've had this a small internal break, same as the DXY, which has been retested reasonably well. It's induced a little decisional point that we had just here. We might find it comes up into the extreme or sell off from where it is. I am happy to sell it from where it is, looking at this point to be a smart money trap. We haven't quite retested that external break just yet. We didn't touch it. So we are still due to retest it. So what are we looking for is to use this point as a smart money trap. This is a medium inducement. If we can come down, mitigate this, get that sell through, be looking to go break even at that low, and I'll be targeting the sell off of that retracement to the inducement of this point here, which is more or less the decisional of that external break just there. Given that it kind of made equal lows and didn't really sweep into liquidity, I'm not expecting it to hold, especially given where we're coming from. I do believe it does need to induce something of significance, so I'll be looking to catch that sell back down. In the way of buys, we're too high up in the leg for me to be open to buying it. This is a medium inducement, but yeah, you kind of, yeah, I don't like its positioning for buyers. I'm really not too keen on that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense structurally. So I'm more than likely going to be sitting out of that, just looking for sells. Cool. All right. AU. I actually don't mind AU. I don't believe this range is going to hold. Obviously, that range didn't, but I believe we should be able to buy through all of this. We have medium induced into the mitigation of the extreme or a previous extreme of a point that induced a decisional. So really good inducement into mitigation. We have now had a break. I just need a bit of structure to develop. Treating that as a break of structure, realistically, I need two breaks. I need it to come down and induce that point and break. I'll be then happy to work inside of this leg for buyers, or I need it to retest, induce retest, mitigate decisional or extreme, and then buy up from there. They're the two options that I've got. Can't do anything else with it as is right now. I need it to show bearish, bullish intent. I don't really have anything for sells. It's not really anything that I like. Yeah, I'm not going to go against that. I'll be looking for buys only on AU. Now GU, fuck, GU's just made it really tricky. It's mitigating in that area, which is the decisional of that break, more or less. You can view either of these points as the decisional. I do prefer this area because it took liquidity. Um, it is also demand to supply area. This induced and this induced, whereas this point didn't induce anything. I don't even, yeah, even on the 5 minute, obviously it didn't induce anything. Um, but it is more or less the decision of the break. I just am not a fan of it, given that it didn't induce. But it is valid. In terms of, yeah, GU, I do want to sell it. If it came up here, that would be great. We'd get a good inducement into mitigation. I am happy to use this point as a smart money trap, though. Even the point that it's in now, I just think it's going to absolutely, it's going to blow through that. Reason I'm looking for this point to be a smart money trap and why I'm wanting to use that point. So there's my break. This is retest of that break after the sweep of Asia low. We didn't introduce anything else. So yeah, I do want to get the manipulation through that point and sell through it. See what it does inside this point that's in now, but it's too deep in the range anyway. Yeah. Best case scenario is going to be this is going to get broken. That's going to be your internal break. We'll get some sort of retest like that, come up, hit the inducement. I then will be working inside of here. Hopefully we can get something like that. I can get in here. Because yeah, we're not going to obviously get a mitigation. So yeah, if this can do something like this and then break and then do something like that. So we've got a decisional to mitigate. That'll be really, really nice. Um, yeah. So right now it's a bit tricky. We don't have a lot of structure to work with. It's gonna be really hard to sort through that point. I'm gonna have to wait for that to be a break and try and utilize this point. But yeah, yeah, same sort of thing on GU. I'm not yet changing my external range on GU. I am still keeping this as my external range. Reason being is that's my previous external break. We haven't even retested it yet. So I do still see this as the one leg of structure. Um, so I'll be working with it in that sense. I do see this kind of, to be honest, as my internal leg. It's just massive because of obviously news, but that was our previous internal leg and it's just carried through. It's just created a massive range. So nothing we can do about that. Yeah, well done for everyone that caught that sell. Like we TP'd that well. Yeah, so obviously we need to sell off. It needs to come deeper. We should at least get the inducement of this point. It hasn't taken anything more significant over to the left. There's nothing to worry about over there or nothing that's really helped us. The big thing that's helping us right now is just all this liquidity that's been swept that high, our positioning and where EU is. So got to remember, they've both taken that high. We've got EU in that extreme point. So, well, yeah, we'll see what it wants to do. It's always tricky when we're starting a new complex pullback or, waiting to see if the market is going to be starting a new complex pullback. It makes it a bit tricky with our positioning. Um, Honestly, these might just keep buying. Like we're so bullish, they might just keep buying. Fucking EU is so bullish, man. Wow. Yeah, we got no news today as well. Sorry, we do actually have news. We've got 7:50 Queensland time, so 2 and a bit hours. We've got red folder news. It is GBP news. So yeah, well, I ideally want to be getting in and kind of ideally out before that comes out. But we'll see. Day after FOMC can always be a little bit sketchy. So, you know, don't push it too hard. It's end of year. Everyone did well yesterday, so yeah, see how she pans out. These are just fucking flying, so I don't even know if it's going to be a trading day.